Welcome back to Freedom Fridays. In this episode of Freedom Fridays, we are continuing our overall study of our hurts and God's healing, and we're also continuing our discussion with Lee and Melissa Lennox on infertility treatments and are they biblically, ethically, morally okay? So let's return to that discussion from last week.
And then going back to that, so if you're going to have multiple eggs harvested, and even if it is the husband and the wife,
Yeah.
and then they take the husband's sperm and they fertilize multiple eggs,
Which is
if
generally what they do.
and
Generally.
then they freeze them and some and put other ones in. What are we doing with that?
Mhm.
Those humans
Yes.
that are right there? Because that, I mean, I know we're all on the same page with life happens at conception, so now we have a bunch of frozen.
Yeah. Well, so is the
Humans.
scriptures.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the sake of conversation, we're all on the same page where Scripture is.
For those who are listening.
Yes.
And so at that point, those babies, if they're not wanted, will be usually discarded or killed.
And we
as
don't
we
even think of it that
fertilize.
way, do we? Not wanted.
No.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just think of, well, these are extra fertilizations. Or, of course, they're in the business of selling this, so they're not going to use those terms. But it really boils down to, wow, I don't want
It's human life.
50 kids. I can't.
Yeah.
Right.
I just can't.
Yeah.
And God didn't design me to have 50 children. So,
Yeah,
are they going to just what they call terminate or dispose of them, which is death,
Murder.
killing, murder? Yeah.
Yeah. It's a choice to murder your own children at that point.
And the price, when you were talking about prices, goes significantly higher if you're only fertilizing one at a time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So
That's a
taking
specialized
into
thing.
Yes. Taking into those accounts, then I would say, well, if that's something you truly believe in, and it's only going to be one and one
Mm-hmm.
joined together, and you're trusting God in this cycle, then I would say, okay, but you have to count the cost.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be expensive and
Hard on the body.
it will be hard on the body.
And then with the cost, you got to ask, is this the best use of God's money?
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I trusting him?
Yeah.
Second Chronicles in Second Chronicles 16:12, in the 39th year of his reign, Asa became diseased in his feet. I know we're not talking about feet, but his disease was severe. Yet even in his disease, he did not seek the Lord, but the physicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my point is, who are you trusting? Are we trusting technology? Are we trusting the doctors? Are we trusting the hospitals? Or are we trusting that God knows what's best for me and my spouse? And
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that really plays into all of these discussions.
It really does. And again, it's such a, intimate topic. And even though many women want to say I'm empowered and I choose whether or not to have kids, or they say I never want to have kids, there is this strong desire to become a mother.
God-given desire.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That he blesses women with, and husbands have that strong desire to have children themselves.
Absolutely.
And is it wrong to want a child of your own? No. But that may not be within God's design
Well,
for your life.
What do we call a child of our own? Because, as you've already mentioned, there are other options that don't require us to violate our biblical principles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got
there's
5
thousands
daughters,
of kids.
and 3 of them did not come to us in any biological manner.
Yeah.
They're adopted, and they're not lesser my children. I have 5 daughters. I don't have 2 and 3. I have 5 daughters.
Yep.
And they're all just as much my daughters.
Yes.
And we need to see that. Just like the scripture says that we are adopted into God's family, and because of that, it even says we are co-heirs with Christ. So he puts us on equal plane. And he sets the standard that adopted kids are the same.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
Exactly.
there's that option as well.
Yes.
So what about surrogacy?
This is a really hard one, because I know,
Again,
I've read
assuming
stories.
it's husband's sperm,
Yes.
wife's egg.
I have heard of stories where the wife didn't have a uterus, could not carry a child, so her mother carried the child for him. There comes this point, and I heard Dr. Grudem speak of it, where the wife, there might be this division between the couple because of the child and who's carrying it and
Yeah.
how that feels. That again, even if it is your flesh and blood, even if it's your egg, his sperm, if someone else is carrying it, it's harder to connect with a child.
Yep.
It is harder to look at that child and say that it's mine. I've never been in those shoes, so I can't say emphatically. I have heard things, but I cannot say 100% that's how it feels. However, there are some women who just struggle with that bond with the baby, even if they gave birth to it.
Sure.
So there's this almost like wall, if you will, that sets up and says, it may suit well for some, but it may not for others. Even if it is, again, your own egg, your own sperm, it may not be the right thing for you guys. And if you're going to make that decision, you had better seek a lot of counsel.
Yeah.
You had better be praying about this. And you had better be having a lot of open conversations before you make any choice to bring a life in that you may struggle with.
Yep.
I would say if I'm counseling a couple and they're looking at surrogacy, first of all, you can have the same issues as IVF because that might be the way that they implant.
Yep.
My counsel is going to be strongly, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yep.
The risks are too high.
Yep.
Not necessarily the physical risks of the baby, you're not coming all the way to term or anything like that, which they can be, but the risks are just too high to the relationship between husband and wife, the relationship that this now brings in. I mean, now this woman who's carrying this child, no matter what their regular relationship is to the family, if there is one, now that bond is brought in. And that's not a natural part of God's design. And I going back to what you said, Lee, I would counsel, no. You don't want to do this. Yes, it seems like, wow, this is amazing, but so many hidden things there that I think would just, the potential is so bad.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like being on a very dangerous cliff, and at any moment it would just fall off. And if you're
Especially
married,
during birth.
perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I was there for
yeah.
my 2 naturally born children. Not going to be if it's not my wife.
Nope.
And Melissa, having given birth to children, how that bond increases during the delivery.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
And
it
what do they
definitely
do
does.
first? They set the baby on the mother's chest, and
Mm.
sometimes the heartbeats sink, and sometimes that bond is strong.
Oh yeah,
How are they going to do that?
Right.
exactly.
And that's just gonna. I can imagine that this woman being the surrogate, the trauma she's going to go through afterward, carrying this baby for 9 months, and then nope, sorry, it's not yours. See ya.
Yeah,
Right.
it is
Thanks for the rental.
physical
It,
issues that,
Essentially.
because I
yeah.
mean, you have to think of the milk letting down,
Mm,
you're healing from like a hole this big inside of you.
yeah.
The hormones that are changing, if you're going to deal with postpartum depression. And that's how the pregnancy was. That's really all related to the husband's genetic factors that he's producing for the egg of how this pregnancy will be. And then your hormones, essentially, everything is so high and then it just drops dead to the floor.
And I would imagine that the depression, the postpartum depression, would be escalated because you often, when you're dealing with that, you can look at the child and say, no, this is worth it.
Yep.
Well, another
But if you
factor,
gave this child away, you can't do that.
you cannot, and another factor is nursing. And I don't know if your wife nursed, but for me, I nursed for several months, if not years, with some of our children, and the endorphins that go off when you're
Mm,
nursing.
Yep.
You don't get that when you're pumping.
yeah.
And so it's just not the same. And so you never have that, if you will, high,
Or that bond.
the
Yep.
high and the bond that says, I can keep going.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
doing this, even though it's hard,
Yeah.
Yep.
even though there's long nights, and she will not get that. And that's hard.
Yeah.
And
I,
so it's bringing three people into a marriage when it's only supposed to be two.
yeah.
Right.
And everything about surrogacy just says to me red flags going off everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like a dangerous triangle.
Yep,
Personally,
I would agree. I agree with you on
I,
that.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't even say be careful, be careful, be careful. I'd say don't.
Yeah.
You just
It
don't want to. You don't want to get close to that.
Right. I
yeah.
mean, and I know this isn't quite exactly the same context, but looking at, because this would be having another woman and the husband sleeping with this other woman to produce this child. I'm thinking with
Yeah,
Abraham and Sarah
yeah,
and that whole situation, like the jealousy, hey,
Mhm.
I've got a great idea. And, that's not a
yeah,
great idea.
yeah.
And then
And that
Abraham's
was
like, oh,
Sarah's
yeah, sure,
idea,
let's do this.
even.
Right. Right. And
Here's
Abraham's like,
Hagar.
yeah, I'll go do this. And I mean, just like thinking through this, oh, it's going to be great. Hagar's going to do this. There's going to be no jealousy, no problem.
Yeah,
This promise that God made to me and to my husband is not going to be a problem. Yeah. I mean, you can say all those things going into it, and then so getting back to surrogacy side, you can say all that coming into it, but there is going to be some issues.
Yeah.
The husband and the wife are going to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
and really, that was as close to surrogacy as we can get in the Bible,
Yep.
Exactly.
because even Sarah said she will have children for me,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and so it would be seen as Sarah's child.
Yep.
Exactly.
But God even said, nope, that's not how I want
Exactly.
it in
And
that situation. And he said, nope, I'm going to do this a different way.
Yes.
as we've talked, there are other options. There's other ways of having children. And and I hate to sound mean and cold, but are you just that discontent with what God is allowing in your life?
Mm,
That you're
Yeah.
willing to go and do things that will cause problems between you and your spouse?
yeah. Why do you
Yeah.
want kids? Is it because of you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's a natural desire, but at the same time, if God has taken, and this goes for any natural desire,
Sure.
Exactly.
if God has taken that ability away from you, then we can be content. And actually, that's the whole context in Philippians 4,
Yep.
Exactly.
13, when he says, I can do all things through Christ. I can go through the hard times. I can go through the easy times. That's the context there. And I know you guys know that and agree.
Yep.
But he's saying, I've learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, whether that humble means financial, or whether that humble means children, or whether that humble means influence or talents and abilities or whatnot. I can do all things. I can still honor God in the good and in the bad, and in the hard and in the easy.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So the overarching theme then for infertility treatment is this glorifying God? Is this something that doesn't put
Yeah.
a child's life at risk? Is this something that is not going to divide
Yep.
our relationship
Well, and
and
when
our relationship with God?
yeah, and when you think about the child's life, now let's think about that physically. Everybody's like, okay, yeah, we're checking, does it put the physical child's life at risk, like with IVF or with, multiples coming into play and such. But what about the child's life after birth? When you bring in surrogacy, what's this going to do to the child? Just like the same feelings with adoption, I want to meet my birth parents.
Yeah.
I want to meet the woman who carried me.
Yeah.
For 9 months.
Exactly.
Right.
Though all of those emotions and difficulties and hard times are going to come to play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But like you're saying, Melissa, we need to honor God. Whatever you do, whether you eat, whether you drink, or whatever you do all to the glory of God.
Yes.
Paul was pretty pointed with that. Whatever you do, whether
Yes.
it is with your kids, whether it's with your spouse, whether it's with your job or whatnot, do all to the glory of God. And that would definitely including infertility treatments.
Exactly.
Does this honor God? That's a difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
But that still comes back to, are we having faith? Are we trusting God, or are we trusting the physician?
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Freedom Fridays.